You're listening to The Tom Kelly Show, the home of personal growth and fun. New episodes on your favorite podcast app, TomKellyShow.com, and YouTube as Tom Kelly Show, Mondays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays across the board on social media. Tom Kelly Show, little nuggets of social media content coming out left and right, friends. Right now, a lot of important things I want to talk about. What do you say we get into
The Tom Kelly Show? Everybody, I want you to go to the Tom Kelly Show. I want you all to know about the Tom Kelly Show.
Trigger warning, spoiler alert, Affleck. You're listening to The Tom Kelly Show. Gilbert Gottfried is dead, ladies and gentlemen, and we are going to explore that as a topic. The last of the edgy, inappropriate comedians. We're going to explore his life as we experience the Tom Kelly Show today. By the way, I want to own this. This is the Tom Kelly Show, the home of dead celebrities. Our numbers go up when we talk about dead celebrities, and I blame you guys. Or I don't know, or I think there's something to explore about why we care more about Tom Kelly's thoughts on a dead celebrity and less on, I don't know, Tom Kelly talking about the struggles of his everyday comedy career and dating life and family life and whatever it is we talk about here at the home of personal growth and fun. And I am kind of capitalizing on it. I found out about Gilbert's death about 2 or 3 hours ago. And I'll tell you what got me started on a path of reflecting on him. Just like with Bob Saget, every person I know on social media has a picture with Gilbert Gottfried. And I'm not just talking about other comedians, the celebrities. And then when you start looking at my other friends, the comedy club bartenders, and then fans, and then children with fans. And I didn't realize Gilbert was this loved by this community, and autistic friends or friends with autistic loved ones were showing pictures of Gilbert. The man was loved. And maybe when we get into why we would follow a Tom Kelly Show podcast about Gilbert's death is maybe we're all feeling a little bit of loss when a celebrity dies, and we all want a little more connection. And that seems shallow, but I understand it. When Norm Macdonald died, I mean, my YouTube algorithm is still sending me everything Norm Macdonald and Bob Saget. So it's interesting. And this is, the Tom Kelly Show, the home of dead celebrities. So if you're a celebrity and you die on a Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday, when we do new episodes of the Tom Kelly Show, you can be chronicled here. We'll go into this for a minute. So Gilbert Gottfried, something that a lot of you guys, the common man and woman, the everyday Joe of a podcast listener may not know, is Gilbert Gottfried had a love of classic television. And I'm friends with somebody who works at that podcast. And I don't want to shame the person or anything like that, but I had done this one person a rather lucrative favor once and asked on more than one occasion to be a guest on the podcast, because the Gilbert Gottfried Amazing Colossal podcast, it's some sort of combination of those words. It is a fantastic show. If you love classic television, it is well researched, it is well thought. And, and then me, about a year ago when I was taking big risks with trying to get big guests on the show, I sent a text to the friend. Hey, I just got GingerZ on the podcast this week. I'm ready for fun and big guests. I would love to have you and Gilbert on via Zoom. I could make it work for a time when you guys are already recording and adjust the interview based on the time available. And before you get into the, oh, you had to bring Gilbert in on the podcast too. Well, I was told I wasn't famous enough at one point for this damn podcast. I'm like, geez, what? You can't do a warm-up comedian episode? You know, we've had on Burt Ward, the guy who played Robin on Batman. We can't, you know, I mean, it was just a podcast. I felt like and I say this as a self-loathing man, I felt like I could have contributed to and learned from being a part of it. And then Gilbert died, and I had this urge to send a tweet. I guess this means I'll never be on the Gilbert Gottfried Amazing Colossal podcast, you know. And then I was thinking of sending like a mean text message. Hey, any chance I could be on the series finale of the Gilbert Gottfried Amazing podcast? And God, what a dickish thing for me to even think. Right? Until you sort of think and you look at the career of Gilbert Gottfried and you think Gilbert Gottfried, more so than any of us, is probably the one guy who would laugh at jokes like that. Gilbert Gottfried, and it's funny, I read a great article, I'll put it in the show notes, about Gilbert Gottfried might have been the king of too soon comedy, to the point where it may have destroyed his career at the end, or at least cost him a lot of money. And what is too soon comedy? I don't know. There, you know, we could go through, you know, the one that, you know, famously cost him a lot of money was he was doing the Aflac voice, you know, Aflac, you know, and he was making a lot of money for legend had it 2 or 3 hours of work a year. And he made some pretty inappropriate and possibly racist jokes about a tsunami hitting Japan. Well, too soon. He also, just when you start going down the Gilbert Gottfried rabbit hole, he made the first public 9/11 jokes, which for me, 21 years later, is still too soon. He was blacklisted for a short time for making masturbation jokes about Pee Wee Herman getting caught masturbating in a theater. And the line was, if masturbation's a crime, I should be on death row. I actually think I have the clip, and I think you'd appreciate the clip if we're going to steal things. If I have it easy, here we go.
I want to get something off my chest. You know, I'll tell you something, ladies and gentlemen. I sleep a lot better since Pee Wee Herman's been arrested. Masturbation's a crime. I should be on death row. Masturbation's against the law. I should have been sent to the electric chair years ago. To think that by age 14, I was already Al Capone.
All right. Now, remember, that's 1991 on network TV. Edgy, ballsy. And it's funny. We've been exploring this topic over the last few weeks, is what is free speech? What is the point of comedy? And what is the point of edgy humor? What is the point of going to the line and crossing the line? And why are we telling these jokes? Why are we out there? Why are we out there doing it, man? I mean, was there value in even those Pee Wee Herman jokes there? Was there a lesson in, was it really that shocking to find a man flying solo in a porno theater? Why do we have those porno, you know, like, and again, the reflection on the man now, and even with the 9/11 joke, we can reflect and say, is inappropriate humor part of the collective grieving process? You know, I've never had a 9/11 joke, and I get angry about them. You know, I have a lot of loved ones in the fire department. But on 9/11 itself, I was making some inappropriate jokes because it was part of my way of processing it. My friend John McCann, who we talk about from time to time on the podcast, I spent 9/11 with him. And on that 9/11 day, we had, I think I was sort of playing the character of, we went out for dinner and I was playing the character of, why are all these cop cars going downtown? Like and I don't know how loudly or how much I did it, and I'm not proud of it. And it wasn't good, but you get into that question of when you're suffering, are inappropriate jokes a part of the grief process? And are comedians supposed to make inappropriate jokes as a part of the grief process? And Gilbert Gottfried's passing evokes questions like, why do we have comedy roasts? Why do we have dark senses of humor? And, and again, I don't have answers to any of those questions, but I know that Gilbert Gottfried was a comedian's comedian in that regard. I'm ashamed to say it, I've never seen the movie The Aristocrats, which is about what is supposed to be the world's dirtiest joke. And I will watch it by the end of this week. But there's a legend about Bob Saget recording some sort of an interview with Gilbert Gottfried at the Comedy Cellar. It was Gilbert and someone else, and Bob was having a trouble getting Gilbert and this other person to, give clear clips for the interview. So the legend had it, or I forget, and I think Bob told this story on Gilbert's Colossal Amazing podcast, that Bob just let the camera roll and basically captured an interview without Gilbert knowing it was being captured. And that did influence me doing some field work once, when I was working on helping Jay Nog produce a documentary about the comedy scene in New York City during the pandemic. And I'm digressing. But we lost a comedic warrior for free speech, a man who took hits and never recovered. He was the man who set the bar so low that the rest of us could play above that bar on certain occasions. He went for the punchline. And it's funny, I've been watching old clips of him, and I was watching some old clips of him on Letterman. I'm like, wow, he looked so young. And then you realize those clips were from like 1983. Like he's been around for 40 years, and when you say 40 years is 1980s, friends, and I don't want to harp too much on Gilbert going to the edge, or maybe I want to celebrate it. I'll say this: Gilbert paid a price for the tweet. In fact, a friend of mine, Chris Maloney, once saw Gilbert Gottfried shortly after that and tried asking him some sort of a newsy question. And Gilbert's reply was, yep, that was a very expensive tweet. And that tweet cost him like a few million a year. He paid a price. When you talk about what's the conditions of forgiveness, which has been we talked about this on the Louis C.K. episode of the show. Gilbert paid a price. He apologized quick. He shut up about it. And he never did. We could argue about whether or not he rebounded to the level of fame he had before that tweet. I know that this summer he was playing not just comedy clubs on Long Island, but bars on Long Island. He was doing the Beach House Comedy Show in Long Beach, New York. That's a Monday night bar show. A good one, but, and the other thing lost in the legend of Gilbert Gottfried that the big media will miss out is he was a nice and liked guy, especially when he wasn't performing and he was off. He was a nice guy. He'd listen to your stories. I think he was loved by the autistic community because I think for the parrot he did, the parrot he played in Aladdin resonated with a lot of autistic kids, I've been told. And I don't know if it's lots and lots, but I know it happened. A bunch of autistic kids went to his show at this beach house. They came to support him. And again, that man took a picture with everybody who said they were a fan. He took a picture of me when I was doing America's Got Talent, Radio City, drenched in sweat. And, you know, again, I'm capitalizing on the loss of a man today, getting this podcast out within hours of hearing he's gone. But, you know, I do believe that it is a loss for the comedy community. And sometimes with loss, you don't realize how much you've lost until months after that person's really gone. But I also know he was loved. Let's get into talking about being loved. This is Tuesday, April 12th. This will air Wednesday, April 13th. I am marking myself safe from the subway shooting on the R train in Brooklyn. A couple of people sent messages to me. Paulie B sent a message. Ryan Wally sent a message. Who else? Diane asked if I was okay. Marianne asked if I was okay. And I'm just going to say this, people. I am no longer marking myself safe in public. I marked myself safe on Facebook, and I think we're up to 18 people hit like that I'm not dead. So from here on in, I'm marking myself safe via direct message. If you want to find out if I'm alive or dead. And you know what's scary about New York? And this is, you know, this is the New York experience. This isn't the first time I've had people asking me if I'm alive or dead. You know, I mean, there were a couple of closer calls. I dodged a bombing by 1 hour. There was a car that ran through traffic in Times Square that not just me, but all my friends who worked at GMA missed by a few hours. There was another weird bombing on the subway that I missed by an hour in Times Square when I was working at GMA. And yeah, I'm sick of having to mark myself safe. And maybe that's part of why people have stopped hitting like on it. They're like, Tom, stop being so damn melodramatic. And in all fairness on this one, it happened on 36th Street in a completely different borough. There's like 90 billion 36th streets in New York City. Ran into somebody today, a showbiz friend. And this showbiz friend, where you ever just see someone who just really has no interest in talking to you, but you want to say hi because they're a bigger shot than you are. And she just says, hi, buddy. Hi, buddy. You know, and I just think, you know, I'm like, oh, do those octaves mean you don't feel like making small talk right now? So there you go. Trends on social media. I've noticed this from Michael Shea's Instagram and ABC News anchor TJ Holmes on Twitter. I'm seeing celebrities who have accounts and they don't follow anybody. And I'm thinking, geez, when you talk about getting in trouble by, like if Tom Kelly sends a dirty tweet, does Michael Che get canceled? You know, or if you're following Gilbert Gottfried and he makes the inappropriate tsunami joke, is anybody famous who follows him getting canceled? I found that to be interesting. Couple of deep thoughts. A great piece of advice from my friend Greg about hopping around in your professional careers. You don't earn where you learn. So like we talked about, you know, I left The View to make more money at other TV shows. And right now there's moments where I wonder, should I have stayed at The View? You know, as things get hot and cold with my career. But I like that line. You need to switch careers to prove your worth and get experience. And you don't earn where you learn. And a meme from my friend Carla Okerson. Cooking together is not romantic. You are just getting in my way. I find that's kind of adorable for romance. And if you think about it, when you're cooking with family members, are you really cooking or are you stressing each other out and getting in each other's way? I think somebody should set the table. Somebody should do the dishes. Somebody should cook. End of story. When you start mixing those tasks, you start bumping into each other in small kitchens. I have a good one, but I'm going to save this for next week or the week after. Maybe I'll put this in our secret Facebook group. Have you ever had a moment where you realized you had a friend and that friend wasn't that person you thought that friend was? Let me plant that seed. That topic's coming down the pipeline. All right, friends, here are the asks. Anytime we have a good episode, share it somewhere good. I think Reddit is our next frontier. We need to find places where podcast listeners are. And that's about it. And otherwise, just your interaction means the world to me. And other than that, friends, you know what? Let's get out on a high note. Back again next week with more podcasts. And hey, keep your fingers crossed. I have an inventory of my picture with celebrities, and who knows who will croak next. Good night, New York.